At the heart of every great organization, whether it's for-profit, non-for-profit, social profit, is sound leadership who you can trust and depend upon. Hi again, and welcome to a very special edition of Be Inspired. I'm Bert Byrne.
And I'm Lisa Anderson.
And Be Inspired is an audio-video podcast where we bring you real stories from folks just like you and I who share stories of love and loss, struggles and perseverance, laughter and tears, and overcoming adversity. Lisa, this time around, we're going to talk to a good friend of ours. We've been talking a lot about Miracle Express on this program. This is the top guy, and this is the guy that makes Miracle Express, with, of course, the work of some great volunteers and supporters, the successful organization that it is. And I want to introduce my good friend JP Byrne, who is here. And JP, it's wonderful to see you again, and thank you for being here with us on Be Inspired.
I'm honored to be here with both of you guys. Thank you.
Happy to have you. Excited that you're here to talk to us about your story.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
I want to get to the Miracle Express connection shortly, but let's find out about you. I know now you do some work in the financial world, but you've had a life where you've seen and done a lot of things. You want to share some of your background?
Yeah. So it started off as a kid. Every parent wants their child to grow up and be the best thing out there. And I'm the oldest of three. I've got two wonderful parents. They've done a lot for me and for both my younger brothers as well. And, being the oldest child and my parents being very young when they had me, in their early 20s, 21 years old when they had me.
Wow.
So a great connection still to this day. And, they've helped us out a lot. So at that point, my parents, through high school, and they kind of look at me and they go, well, what do you want to do with your life? And I was very big into sports, and luckily I got hooked into golf, and
Nice.
I was fortunately very good at it. And it got to the point where my mom kind of looks at me and she goes, well, what do you actually want to do? I said, I don't care, I just want to play golf. So my mom took her initiative, and she found one of the best golf schools in the country at the time, and she kind of looked at me and she's like, well, let's see if we can get you in this program.
That's nice.
So 100 kids a year are only accepted into this program per school, and luckily she found a way to get me in. It was searching and traveling from this tournament to this tournament, and my parents did it with all of us. I still don't know how they paid for it. But that's a separate conversation.
Don't ask, don't tell.
Exactly.
So the prize money at that level is not that great, is what you're saying?
No, definitely not. No prize money. More out of pocket than prize money for sure. So.
You either love golf or you don't. I find
True.
that I've never really understood it, kind of like football. I still can't understand all the plays.
For most guys, Lisa, and girls,
yes.
Golf is just a nice day to go for a walk in the park, or a walk in the woods in my
An
case.
excuse
But
to get out.
That's right.
But
4
for
hours.
JP, you have to
Yeah.
live it, eat it, sleep it 24/7 to pursue it as seriously and be as good at it as you were. I mean, not everybody can say
great.
that they played the game professionally, and it's not an easy thing to pick a golf club and hit a golf ball and put it exactly where you want it to go. Not everybody can do that.
Well, it doesn't always go exactly where you want it to go, but
I always have trouble with the windmill.
Oh, that
when it's
guy.
spinning around.
Sure.
Can't get it
Putt
past
gets
that.
me every time.
I know.
So at that point, it really got me to be at one of the best schools for what I did, and Methodist University down in North Carolina. It was
It's great.
unbelievable. Tough for my mom. She dropped me off at school, and Dad found a way to figure out how to pay for it.
Just you and your golf bag. Huh?
And that was
Dropped
it.
you off at the corner.
And so I was lucky enough throughout my career to be at some, absolutely some of the best clubs in the world.
Wow.
Upper Montclair Country Club, where we had, multiple senior PGA Tour events and LPGA Tour events. And then from there, I went to Shinnecock Hills, which is number 2 in the world.
Amazing, sure.
It just hosted another major event. And then from there, I went to Montclair Golf Club, and also one of the top country clubs in the Northeast, if not the country. And then unfortunately, from there, what I just, it happens to everyone. I unfortunately got into a bad car accident.
Oh.
And, I was very lucky that, only I was hurt. I had my youngest brother in the car with me at the time. Bad, just
Scary.
bad road conditions. The guy lost control. sideswiped us and then caught traction and then just kind of hit us head on.
Oh gosh.
So, unfortunately, I, lost the availability to, continue the golf career. But, I was very lucky to, kind of walk away from that and,
When was that?
That was February. It was actually the day before my middle brother's birthday, February 2008.
Okay. What were your injuries that you could no longer play?
So I blew out my right knee,
Oh.
and also I had 6 full herniated discs in my back.
Wow.
You had to be devastated, JP, because I would think that
Yeah.
someone who was on the path like you were headed, you were going to get the tour card and you were going to go out and,
Yeah, I mean,
Pebble Beach and the British Open, and I got a future doing this. And
I wish. I was at the level
man.
where I was running and teaching a lot of people at a very high level how to play golf, and I love that. Playing on local sectional events and stuff
Sure.
like that. But the guys that are on tour, I hate to say this, they're also on a different level, and it's amazing. But yes, I was hopefully going to get to that point as well to play at that same level. But unfortunately, like you said, it's just stuff gets taken from you, and you have no control over that. So.
Well, what path then, once you realize, well, this isn't going to happen for me,
Yeah.
what happened next? Did you decide, well, I have to do something?
Yep. I fought through it. I continued to do that for that entire year because it happened in February, and unfortunately, I went through that entire summer and kind of didn't quit. Just went through it and decided I'm going to keep doing this. And I was luckily at a golf club, at a private golf club, where I had a very large population of wealth management advisors or people that were on Wall Street. And what I would do for most of their clients was they would hire me to play golf with their clients.
Tough job, but
Wow.
somebody's got to do
It
it.
was a very tough job.
Oh,
It
gosh.
was,
Those long days on the course.
life can be so
drinks,
cruel
lunch.
sometimes, right? Yeah.
it was bad golf tans.
Oh,
But,
yeah, those two.
Other than that, it was a good life. And I had a lot of fun with it, and
Sure.
love to help a lot of people try to play this game, for the first time, and at a very tough route, because teaching people how to play golf is what I consider the hardest sport in the world, and I loved it. I still do. So at that point, once my head professional at the time that I worked with, he put a little message out to a couple of the members, and I was very lucky. And, I had a line out the door, and I didn't expect it. They said, if you
That's
want a
great.
shot, you got it.
Wow.
And I saw the opportunity, and I took it. So would I love to still be in golf? Absolutely. Do I love what I do now? 100%.
Which is?
I'm in wealth management.
Okay.
So I now help people manage their assets. I help people, not only just get to retirement, but also stay retired, which is very hard to do nowadays for some people.
Yes, it is. Yes.
Doing a lot of, estate planning for families. And, one of the things, which is the hardest thing in my business, is to, make sure that families are taken care of no matter what happens. And, one of the most, or one of the toughest things that I've ever had to deal with was to deliver a death claim to a family. And, delivering a death claim to a family, you realize that you did the right thing to make sure that that family is protected.
Sure.
But a lot of times you don't get the opportunity to sit in front of enough people to make sure that they are protected. And that's one of the things in our business that most people don't realize. And there's a lot of people that are out there that are, truly trying to do that. But, like I said, I love what I do, and it's a tough business. It's tough to make sure that everyone is taken care of at the right time.
You have to remember that their lives are going to change forever.
100%.
And you're doing something to at least help to ensure and guarantee somewhat of a future for the people that are left behind, but they'll never forget about their loved one who's gone.
That's right.
But you're there. You're part of the process of going forward and moving on and continuing to persevere. That's what it's about.
Yeah, knowing that a child doesn't have to leave a school, or a family doesn't have to leave a home.
Sure.
Because that person that was responsible for making sure that they can do that is no longer there,
Right.
is very humbling. And, I learned that, for me, luckily, very on in my career. And, I promote that 100%.
Well, the work that you're doing now, JP, is certainly not the end of the story. And when we come back, I want to talk about another incident in your life that created tremendous adversity. And I want to talk about what led you to Miracle Express and why being a part of that organization is so important to you. And hopefully that's something we could talk about in the next segment.
Looking forward to it.
All right. We will be back. Much more coming up on Be Inspired with our guest, JP Byrne.
Freestyle Marketing. For all of your marketing and promotional needs, follow or direct message Wendy for great ideas and first-class customer service. Contact Wendy at freestylemarketing.com.
Moving is difficult. At Lowe's, it doesn't have to be. For all of your residential and commercial needs in Central New Jersey, contact Lowe's Moving Service at 732-775-4118. That's Lowe's.
IgA Nephropathy Foundation of America is a 501c3 nonprofit organization dedicated to finding a cure for IgA kidney disease. If you or someone you know was recently diagnosed, please visit IgAN.org or contact 732-770-7377.
Also, thanks to Chain Gang Pro Performance Clothing, a new local company focused on providing activewear for your active moments. Check out their story and line of products at chaingangpro.com or follow their journey on Instagram or Facebook by searching Chain Gang Pro. We are with JP Byrne on this episode of Be Inspired. He is the CEO of Miracle Express, and he's here sharing some of his life stories and life experiences with us. Everything from toying with the idea of playing golf professionally and now teaching it and helping out some people in the financial world is where he does his work now. JP, I want to talk about Miracle Express and what led you to the organization, but there's another chapter in your life that I think is worth telling about. And as if having a car crash and losing any chance that you would have to pursue a professional golf career, and probably a very lucrative one too. Another event that had an impact on you and would change your life forever, that was right here at the Jersey Shore. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, of course. So obviously being in Jersey, and I have a lot of family that's in obviously all throughout New Jersey and actually all throughout the country. But growing up down the shore and seeing part of the boat races that were down at Point Pleasant every year.
Yeah, they're fun.
That's awesome to see.
It is.
And for me, besides the golf career, I've been an adrenaline junkie my entire life. I love it.
The need for speed?
You know what it really is? Between dirt bikes, ATVs, motorcycles, cars, boats, skydiving, whatever it is.
So you're saying your mom is completely gray?
So, yeah, well, actually, fantastic. She looks fantastic right now, but we don't tell her about that ahead of time.
See,
that's
a secret.
My
Keep
brother,
mom calm. Right.
My brothers and I tell her about that stuff after the fact. Usually when we show her a video and say, "Hey, Mom, take a look at this."
Look what we did.
Correct.
Okay.
And then she
Good point.
doesn't talk to us for about 4 or 5 minutes after that. But so being an advisor in New Jersey, one of our counterparts owned a couple race boats, and he knew that I loved being around and racing and doing that whole aspect of it, and he was a very successful advisor, good friend to me and to a lot of people in our firm, and really cocky, which he and I got along really well because we can kind of just jab at each other once in a while. So he got a new a BMW, and he looked at me and he goes, "Hey, what do you think?" I go, "Well, if you ever want to learn how to drive it, you let me know." So he didn't know what to say, and a couple weeks later he comes in and I'm on the phone on a conference call, and he walks to my office and just throws me the keys, and he goes, "Let's go."
Uh-oh.
So I come out of the office, come around, and my office is right in Woodbridge, so we have Route 9, Route 1, Parkway, Turnpike. So kind of rip it right onto Route 1, as soon as I get onto the on-ramp onto the parkway, and as soon as I saw his hand kind of go towards the dashboard, I was like, I got him. A couple weeks later, he asked me to drive his boat for him to enter race into that annual race that they have right there in Point Pleasant.
Right.
And I, of course, said, I didn't even think about it. I was like, absolutely,
Sure.
I'm in. And for me, I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, but with that stuff, I just don't. I have no fear, thinking about that stuff, and I love it.
Had you ever driven a
Oh,
power
yeah,
boat before?
we had boats,
Okay.
and luckily, not a power boat. We never raced a power boat to that
But
extent.
you were familiar with
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
boats all your
Yeah,
life.
yeah.
Okay.
So, it just got to the point where I was very comfortable and said, let's do this. Let's go win a trophy.
Wow.
And so we did that. We did the parade and the check-in and everything else. And for me, I think it was because, and a friend of mine had told me this after the fact. He said that you probably didn't realize this because you've been at that high level before, where I even as a golf pro, I was never fazed about who I met or what tournament it was, or for me that just didn't matter. Even now,
Yeah.
especially in wealth management, I don't get shell shocked about certain things. Whether it be money or who you are or what you do, or if you're a good person, you're a good person. And that's all I care about.
Sure.
So we get into the race, and everything before that, and we had a lot of fun. And unfortunately, it was a beautiful day, but it was windy and extremely choppy. And when you get into that type of setup, you have to be on.
Sure.
And if you're not on, you don't do it. So you have to kind of zone in and be a part of that, and know that you're ready to go. And so we did that, and we circled in the harbor, and we're waiting to go through the inlet, and they let us go through the inlet finally, and it was delayed and delayed and delayed. We got out to the race, we're trying to line up, it got delayed again, it got delayed again, it got delayed again. And they finally said, they dropped the flag and they said, let's go.
Wow.
And, those boats were doing about, 75 miles an hour.
That's quick.
It's fast.
Yeah.
75 on the water is
Sure.
is way fast.
Especially on a choppy ocean.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's rough.
So, we held our line fine, no problem. We start to turn in to the first point because it's just a big rectangle. So we kind of turn into the first buoy, and as we turn into the first buoy to go towards the back part of the race, I wake up in the ICU.
Wow.
So waking up in the ICU was very awkward, and I looked like, from what I kind of just saw initially, was I looked like a freak. I mean, I had tubes coming out of everywhere. I mean, I looked around and nobody had realized I had woken up yet. I had tubes coming out of my chest. I had, tubes coming out of, part of, the lower part of my body. I had, a tube down my throat, my nose.
That's horrible.
I mean, it was.
Waking up like that is
Wow.
tough.
It was.
Yeah.
It was unbelievable. And I didn't know what to do, so I kind of just sat there and I looked around, and I guess I was, in shock. I didn't know what happened, and I wake up and I see, I see one of my aunts, and I see my mom. And I kind of just look around, and the first thing I wanted to do, and I start to move, and as I move, I go to lift my hand up, and what I didn't know is that obviously when you're intubated with a chest tube, that your first reaction is to pull it out,
Yeah.
and so that's what I guess what they thought I was trying to do. So as soon as I went to go move my arms, I had 5-6 people jumping all over me,
Oh gosh.
and yeah. So I kind of, went numb, and I just laid there, and finally everyone got off, and they kind of sat there, and I looked at everyone, and here's the funny part of the story before I go into the other part. I go to lift my hand up again, and I see everyone lean in, and I can't speak, I can't do anything, and I'm just like, wait, and I turn my hand again, and they all kind of jumped in again. I'm like, no. and I went like this, and I reached in, and all I wanted to do was itch my nose.
Oh my God.
Wow.
And everyone starts laughing.
That's
So,
cute.
but it was a lot more serious to that point. I was in the ICU for 2 weeks.
Wow. You were banged up.
I was yeah, it was
Pretty
bad.
Yeah.
Major concussion. Unfortunately, what happened was the boat that was behind us had lost control, hit a wake. They went airborne
Oh.
and landed on top of us.
Wow.
What year was this?
It's 2 years ago in May.
I read about that.
Yeah, 2
And
years.
they stopped all the races. It was
Yeah,
early
It
on.
was the first turn, first
Yes,
lap.
okay. Yep.
And so I major concussion. I broke 3 vertebrae in my neck. I broke 11 ribs, 9 on one side, 2 on the other.
Ouch.
Both my lungs collapsed, and where the boat landed, you could actually see a line from where my neck broke all the way through to where my ribs broke. And every the trauma team was just unbelievable at Jersey Shore, and one of my aunts works at a sister hospital. And my family,
It's tough. This is actually the first time you're talking about your event. The
yes,
events
correct.
that transpired, and
So-
it's extremely traumatic.
Yeah, I thought I was going to be a little better,
That's okay. You are.
mentally prepped for this, but
You're human.
yeah,
It's human.
My family was they were there,
They were there for you. And
They were overwhelming to the hospital. Let's put it that way.
that's okay.
Overwhelming. I mean, to the point where my girlfriend at the time was the only one that was there that knew that I was actually doing this,
Yeah.
and I didn't really kind of forecast it, but
Yeah.
So actually, I guess what these are actually for, right?
Exactly.
So
No one
instead of-
uses
instead of
them.
just looking good, we're
Exactly.
gonna use it.
No one ever does that. So
More than
use
just,
it.
it's just decoration sometimes, right?
That's true.
It's a classy tissue.
So it's very classy.
Yes. Satin.
So, my mom being one of 6, my dad being one of 8, I had every one of my family members that were close, and even some that weren't close, were there.
That's
And it was
wonderful.
now I think about it now, and I still don't, and I haven't probably given each one of them enough thanks.
Yeah.
Friends that showed up that I didn't realize were that close to me at that time, but when something
Sure.
like that happens, just like
Well, that's what gets you through it, is the support and the
Correct.
love from everyone.
that's right.
Imagine laying there alone for, 3 weeks or however long you were there in
Yeah.
the hospital. I mean, it's just to have that support, and you
Yep.
need it, and it does get you through.
It was unbelievable, and it kind of shows the value of of the friends that I consider even closer friends now, and those friends that I considered friends are family, and my family that did everything that they did moving forward is
Sure.
I
You'll never forget it.
no.
No.
I mean that's gonna be hard to do
Just,
unless you get hit in the head a lot more to forget it, but that's about it.
Just the support from family that you saw at JP, and I continue to be marveled by the Herculean rescue effort that had to happen out in the open water. That gave
100%.
you a chance to
Between the state,
survive.
you know,
Just, I can't imagine what the frantic scene that must have been like.
The divers that were there, I thank you. The Coast Guard that was on site, the state police, the local police, EMS, the entire trauma team that that saw me, from the day, the moment I walked in the door until, 2 weeks later. They were unbelievable. So
Wow.
that was.
Glad you had such fantastic care.
You know what? I still, even to this day, I have not. I really haven't had the. I don't know if gusto is the right word, but the
Strength.
the strength to go back and actually personally thank them, and then That's tough.
Yeah.
And it was always tough for me to think about that, to actually have to do that, but I'm due.
Sure.
And this podcast is going to help me do that.
There you go. So
Yeah.
this is the start of it. And your friend?
Unfortunately, he didn't make it to the hospital.
I'm sorry.
So, and
I'm
the
sorry.
sad part for me is one of the toughest parts for me was I was in a room and there was an empty bed that, was next to me, and I looked at my father and I said, hey, why don't they move, Dave into here? And my dad just looked at me, and that was the day that they all were, headed to the wake. So that was the that was really tough. That was a really tough day for me. Knowing that I'm here struggling to to keep it together, literally.
Yeah.
And then seeing the aftermath of that was tough, and it still is tough to this day.
Yeah.
So.
How old was Dave?
Oh God, early. He was in his early 40s. He had 3 kids, wife, and I thought about them, and and his parents. His dad was extremely nice to me, and his brothers. His one brother was there, and it was I couldn't imagine the situation that I was going through, and what they had went through was 10 times, I'm sure, or even more than that that what I was dealing with. So
Do you have survivor's guilt?
I do. I 100% do, and my father and I share the same thing. And he was able to help me out a little bit, but my dad was part of 9/11.
Okay.
And my dad didn't go to work that morning. So, he has one of the same issues that I do right now. And it's, I've had a lot of people that have helped me, up until from then until now.
Yeah.
And, unfortunately, one of them was an ex-girlfriend of mine who I became very close with after the fact. And, Tana helped me through a lot of what had transpired from the accident, and she kind of looked at me as I was laying in the hospital, and she goes, I know you. You're a male. You're stubborn, and you're not going to go talk to anyone. So she had helped me through a lot of that, for about 9 months, until I got a phone call from her sister, and the first time I was back to Jersey Shore was to see Tana laying lifeless after trying to give birth to her first child. So that was one of
That's
the
awful.
toughest years of my life was, going through that process, and then, seeing both, her and her, her newborn lifeless. And
My gosh.
that was someone who helped me, get from point A to point B, and it helps. But, unfortunately, there's been a lot of other people that have helped me so far since then, and very close friends and family that, got me to the next point.
Yeah.
Through the next day.
Right. But
On the subject of helping JP, your role now with Miracle Express, and it's a great organization. Lisa and I have been working with them.
and thank you for that.
Thank you.
What led you there, and your role now
Yeah.
with Miracle Express?
So I was recovering at home, and the only thing to do at that point is to watch Netflix and
Pretty much.
and kind of be on your phone and check social media. And so it was about a couple months that I was laid up, and I saw Michael posting about this Miracle Express thing, and saw it come across my feed 10, 15 times, and I'm sitting there, and I go, and I called him.
This is Michael Doyle, the founder.
Michael
right?
Doyle,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
founder, yep. And I said, I called him right away, and I was sitting in my kitchen at the time, and I said, Mike, if you don't tell me exactly what Miracle Express is, I'm going to have to block you. I'm sorry.
Delete.
Exactly.
My friend, yes.
So, So we had about a 45-minute conversation about it and what he was doing, and how he wants to really help people, and he told me about the families that he'd helped so far. And after that conversation, I said, I'm in.
Wow.
And
Timing's everything. Right?
it really is.
Yeah.
And so he told me about the couple of families that he'd helped, and I said, well, we're gonna grow that, and we're gonna make it bigger. And he laughed at me, and he's like, okay, we'll try. But up until last year, we were able to help 12 families
That's fantastic. In such a short time.
in a very short time.
Wow.
And
it continues to grow and
It is.
continues to do remarkable work. And anyone listening or watching today, if they don't want to get involved, JP, how does that process begin of someone maybe being a part of the growing Miracle Express family?
the one thing that I would urge people to do is to definitely watch the videos of what we've compiled over the years. And if you have a dry eye after that point, this is not for you.
Yeah.
How you doing?
Hi.
I'm JP with Miracle Express.
Hi, thank you guys so much.
Oh, my
Thank
pleasure.
you.
This is the best we can. We're looking forward to giving these kids the best thing we can today. So,
Thank you so much.
so on behalf of Miracle Express, please
Thank you,
enjoy.
guys. Thank you.
and from Santa.
I'm shocked. I'm so impressed with this. Well, first, yes, it is very early, but this is so kind. We really did have a terrible year. I was up till 3 o'clock in the morning
Sure.
doing this by myself, But
Well, you're doing a lot. All right.
we appreciate it.
Well, we're here for you.
Thank you.
Okay.
The families that we've helped, and in turn, those families have actually inspired us.
Right.
In turn,
Mm-hmm.
and it's amazing. The what most people think is a hardship, and what we walk into a lot of times is, I'll never forget my first year doing it with Michael,
Really.
and driving home to my parents' house to celebrate Christmas with my family after the fact.
Right.
I sat on the couch at my parents' house, and I started crying out of nowhere. And
It changes the whole perspective
absolutely.
on Christmas. Yeah.
It's kind of what you guys had said before, and giving is the new getting.
It's
Yeah.
true. It's
And
true.
I don't think I'll ever stop at this point to do stuff like that, since it's already changed my life. And the people that have volunteered and selflessly spent hours doing everything that we need help with, they have already come to us and said, we're in,
Wow.
and we're not stopping. And that's such a huge pat on the back for Michael and for the rest of our team that has helped.
Yeah.
And friends of mine that have really committed to do this. And it's not easy giving up Saturday, that
No,
Christmas
it's
morning and
not.
saying,
You want to be home, but they're
that's
not.
right.
Yeah.
And they're not. And they're out making sure that other people are living, their best lives with their kids
Yeah.
at that time. And, like I said before, it's an unbelievable venture and an unbelievable circumstance on how I kind of got involved with it. So,
Your purpose.
exactly.
Yeah.
To be there for others is the best gift of all. And
That's right.
Under your guidance and wisdom, JP, this organization will continue to grow and continue to help people and continue to do remarkable work. So for what you mean to that organization, thank you. And thank you for being here to share your story today.
Thank you very much. It's been an honor. And just by doing this, you guys have all helped me move forward. So I appreciate that.
Thank you. It's certainly our
Thank you.
privilege. Thank you. I'm Bert Byrne,
And I'm Lisa Anderson.
and we thank you for watching Be Inspired.
Be Inspired Podcast, directed by Rod Weber. Production assistant Carlo Anthony. Post-production editor Rebecca Gruber. Be Inspired with your hosts Lisa Anderson and Bert Barron. Co-producers Lisa Anderson and Erwin Sternberg. Executive producers Rod Weber and Sean M. Sternberg. Created and produced by Michael R. Doyle.
The Be Inspired podcast series is dedicated to the memory of Barbara DeVallinger.
The guests we bring on to our podcast each and every week are the most inspiring folks. And if something touches you, we urge you to reach out to Be Inspired. We'd love to hear from you. Thanks for listening.